Alright, time for a bit of nostalgia wanking to kick in the new decade by reminding us what we loved most about the one previous. Which is why I'm sort of torn between being 100% on board with this one, while also rolling my eyes at how much of a greatest hits tour it feels like. If you didn't get enough nihilism shown through Afrula's struggle against the clock in Madoka Magica, Shaft's back at it again, with another show set in the same universe and based on a mobile game. So let's look at Magia Record, Mahou Shoujo Madoka Magica Gaiden. Or if that's a little too much for you, Magia Record Puelli Magi Madoka Magica Side Story, and decide if it's worth your time, or if your effort's better spent rewatching the original. Getting into it, Magia Record relies on the viewers to be somewhat familiar, if not entirely, with the original series, as key aspects of the universe aren't really explained to the audience. You're expected to know what magical girls are, their worries, and why they're so melancholy. Who starts watching a side story without the original? Especially one released almost a decade ago and is widely regarded as one of the best magical girl shows to date due to its mature themes of depression, fleeting happiness, growing up, and things not being as simple as one would think. I'm not sure who would, but it's best to think of this as a prequel in the same vein as Star Wars, where watching the first but chronologically later series is a must. While the setting and characters are different from the original, you will lack an understanding of what the hell is going on at times without the background information. The basic premise is this girl is a magical girl in some city. Her parents aren't around and she's feeling like something's missing from her life. As she's out doing magical girl things, she finds a small cube that makes her remember that she used to have a little sister that no one can remember and is mysteriously gone. It's here where she's drawn to this city filled with powerful witches to find her sister, while making friends along the way. If that sounds really basic to you and you aren't familiar with the sort of dread Madoka exudes as a franchise, you'll find yourself asking, so what? That doesn't sound super interesting since it's just a girl looking for her sister. But it's hard to capture a lot of the nuance a series like this has in a simple plot synopsis. Like that magical girls are just powerful enough, mixed with their adolescence boosting their arrogance, fueled by being told they're special that they can easily beat these monstrous witches. But making mistakes is common, and often costs them their lives at the drop of a hat. That they're aware that the work they do is important, but is entirely thankless. With solitude growing exponentially due to the territorial nature they have, as hunting witches is how they keep themselves from becoming one. This is where our main girl's plight comes in, as she's willing to put her entire existence as a magical girl aside for the sake of finding her lost sister, tearing down barriers to the detriment of herself. Basic in plot, but thematically rich, which is actually my kind of story. When I say I don't expect plots to be super complex, this is what I mean. The simple finding her lost sister is all the impetus the story needs to get off the ground, as it provides motivation. I don't really need to buy that her sister means a lot to her, gives her a goal, actually locating her sister, and builds audience investment in her struggle through the hardships she encounters along the way. Depth doesn't necessarily come from twists and turns, with the darker undertones scoring these moments, like her battling against time with her ever-tainting soul gem, the relationships she has being built on flimsy trust and superficial bonds that only hold due to how few these characters have. That in itself speaks volumes about the world and characters, without flat out saying it. Animation is always a treat in a Shaft production. If you watch the original, you'll know the distinct moe style juxtaposes with the darker themes in the story nicely. The soft, cutesy features and the wide-eyed smiles and such speak to the youth and inexperience of the characters as a whole, reflecting their views. They're entering a world and system that will tear them apart and use them as a commodity. Their dreams, hopes, and desires feeding their ever-growing despair shows through the color choices, cinematography, and direction itself. While characters wear these extravagant costumes, wield impractical weapons, and exude youthful confidence with posturing, it leads into how depressing things are when they actually enter a witch's lair. Suddenly the world shifts into an arts and crafts set, basically a make-believe setting, with some barely defined monstrosity lashing out at them. Aside from being a visual treat, it mashes such distinct styles in a way to capture audience attention. It sells this quirky, childlike terror. Witches, at their core, are magical girls who gave in to their despair. Oddly, a realization that the world isn't fair and playing magical girl isn't solving their problems leads to a regression in form to childish whimsy, while taking out their pent-up anger at the world. It reflects the mental state of those who become witches while further building that defining style that has become synonymous with the franchise. I really can't stress how well Chef does on its animation, as it's so visually distinct from any other studio out there, packing in a ton of effort into selling its series, mood, and characters. I've praised this anime for a lot of what it has. It's filled with an interesting story carrying thematically deep meaning, and conveyed in a visually stimulating and engaging way. But I have to ask, why am I not as excited for this series as I was when I watched the original? As great as this one is, it feels very much like a side story. The inclusion of characters from the original and essentially the same themes with that all too familiar art style just makes this one come across as nostalgia wanking. This doesn't so much feel like its own entity, telling a story in the Madoka universe as a series trying to bank on the original to grab fans. Rather than feeling like a great series as the original Madoka did when it came out, this will most likely go down as just a continuation of it, because what this one has is everything I've already seen. The dark magical girl content isn't as groundbreaking as it once was. So is Magia Record good? Yes, it is. You should watch it. But if you're looking at this one as though it will be the second coming of Madoka, capturing the same feelings the original instilled in you, I think you'll find that second hit doesn't feel quite as nice. Coming out almost a decade later, it's retreading too much to feel unique, which is a shame, as this would otherwise be amazing. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and do all the other YouTube things to help the channel grow. You can also join my Discord with a link down in the description. And if you really want to support me, you can head on over to my Patreon, where you can pick up some extra perks like voting on what I do next. Thanks for watching.